Welcome to S&P Sports. Today we're going to be talking about the AFC East. It is going to be a four-part series of our AFC Preview 2013. So last year's 2012 winner of the AFC East was New England Patriots. Second was Miami with 7-9, 2-4 in the division. Third was New York Jets, 6-10, 2-4 in the division. And fourth was Buffalo Bills, 6-10, 2-4 in the division. The only playoff team from the AFC East was the New England Patriots. They lost the AFC Championship to eventual Super Bowl winners, Baltimore Ravens. So we're going to break down each team, and then after we talk about each team, we're going to tell you who we think is going to win the division. So enjoy. All right. So we're going to start things off by talking about the New England Patriots, who of course won the division last year. My key additions for the New England Patriots are wide receiver Danny Amendola, running back Leon Washington, safety Adrian Wilson, wide receiver Michael Jenkins, and quarterback Tim Tebow. Do you have any other key additions, Ryan?
Nope, those are the same key additions I have.
All right. New England plays the 14th toughest schedule this year. Last year they were first in offense, fourth in passing offense, and seventh in rushing offense. Last year's defense, they were 25th defense. So what do you think of the New England Patriots this year, Ryan?
I think the big thing is their loss of receiving core. They lost Tom Brady's best friend, Wes Welker, which may make Giselle pretty happy, but I know Tom Brady's not going to be too happy about that. They also lose Brandon Lloyd, who was the main wide receiver out on the corner, and they also lose Aaron Hernandez, which kind of hinders their play calling, because I know Bill Belichick wanted to go to the double tight end, which would make him pretty deadly and have matchup issues. But now with Aaron Hernandez left, and with Gronk starting the preseason on the PUP list, they could be out two of their top tight ends in the league. So that's the big scare for New England right now.
Yeah, but I think them picking up Danny Amendola would definitely help a lot from losing all those people. Last year at the Rams, he had a decent year. He had injury problems, but I think him getting passes from Tom Brady instead of Sam Bradford is going to help a lot. I think he's going to have a really big year. What do you think? How do you think Tim Tebow is going to be used this year, Ryan?
Really, I think Bill Belichick just likes Tim Tebow's work ethic, and he's just a good guy to have in the locker room, especially for young players. Because I know they've had some issues with people getting arrested. And, I mean, Tim Tebow's the classy guy to bring in to kind of put some infrastructure in the locker room. So really, I think he's just there for morale. If they can get him in at tight end with the lack of tight ends now, that could also be used. But I see him more as just a locker room guy.
All right. Tom Brady last year threw for 4,827 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Do you think he'll have that good of a year this year too, Ryan?
I really think it all depends on Gronkowski's health and Danny Amendola, if he can stay healthy, because right now they don't really have any true receiving guys that they've had previously. So if Danny can stay healthy, which I think can be done, then I look for him to have a huge season, because he's bigger than Wes Welker and he might even be faster. They're both Texas Tech boys, so coming out of Mike Leach's system. And then Gronk, he's a beast. Him and Jimmy Graham are the best tight ends in the game, so if they can do it, then I think they'll be all right, but it all depends on the health.
Yep, and they're in a pretty weak division. They only lost once in the AFC last year, so how do you think overall they'll do in the league?
I think they'll do pretty well. I mean, they've got big games. Week 4 at Atlanta. Week 6, they've got New Orleans at home. Week 12, Denver at home. And Week 13 at Houston. So only 2 of those big games are against AFC opponents, and one of those is at home. The key for them is last year they had a plus 25 turnover ratio, which is outstanding, and they also had 34.8 yards a game, or not yards a game, but points per game. So, I mean, if they can keep both of those up, they're going to be a deadly team this year.
For sure. Well, stay tuned, because next we're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Welcome back. Next in the AFC, we're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins finished second in the division last year with a 7-9 record and 2-4 in the division. My key additions for the Miami Dolphins are tight end Dustin Keller, Purdue boy, and quarterback Matt Moore. What key additions do you have, Ryan?
The big key addition I have is the deep threat Mike Wallace at wide receiver coming from Pittsburgh. I just think, he's pretty fast, and at Pittsburgh he's a big play guy, so that might be what Ryan Tannehill needs.
Yeah, he had a bit of a problem last year holding on to the ball. I had him on my fantasy team last year, and it just made me very angry to have him on my fantasy team sometime. But Miami had the eighth toughest schedule in the league this year. Last year's offense was 27th ranked, 26th in passing, 17th in rushing. Their offense was ranked 21st last year. So we'll get right into it. Miami's coach, Joe Philbin, is his second year. And how do you think he's going to do this year, Ryan?
I don't have the Dolphins making too big of a splash. I just think having to play the Patriots twice a year is going to be pretty tough. But I guess that's just one team and 2 games out of 16. What helps is they also play Buffalo and New York twice a year. So that could be, 4 easy wins. I just think if Ryan Tannehill, he had trouble with interceptions last year, through 12 touchdowns, but had 13 interceptions. He needs to cut down on that. I mean, it's the second year, and the second-year quarterbacks usually don't do as well because they get a broader playbook, more responsibility falls on them. But I think the addition of Mike Wallace is going to help with that. But they also lose Reggie Bush, who was the, was Darren Sproles-like. But, he had glimpses of goodness, but, mostly he's been a bust except that one year that the Saints won the championship. To fill his shoes, they got Lamar Miller, who's the second year out of Miami Hurricanes. He's a big play guy. He's fast like Reggie Bush, but he's a little bigger. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use him.
Yeah. Did you see the Miami Dolphins' new logo?
Oh, yeah, I saw it on Colin Kaepernick's hat. Thank you for that, Colin.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of an iconic logo, and I don't know why they really changed it, but maybe they're trying to get more people to buy their merchandise and get more sales. Matt Moore signed a contract in Miami. Do you think him being as a backup will put more pressure on Ryan and maybe make him perform better?
Right now, I think Tannehill's the guy. I mean, when you draft quarterback in the first round, you give him usually 3 to 4 years to prove himself. So, right now I don't think there's any pressure on Ryan Tannehill to perform. I do think he's going to be the key to the Dolphins this year. Runs through the quarterbacks, this quarterback-driven league, especially when you have both young quarterback and young running back. So that's going to be difficult to see if they're going to be able to either mesh or if it's just going to be a downward spiral. But I think his job's pretty safe for the time being.
All right. Well, stay tuned. Next we're going to talk about the New York Jets. Welcome back. Next, we're going to talk about the New York Jets. They finished third in the division at 6-10 with a division record of 2-4. Their key additions for me are running back Mike Goodson, tight end Kellen Winslow, and running back Chris Ivory. Do you have any key additions, Ryan?
Big key addition would probably be D. Milner being drafted in the first round, taking over for Darrelle Revis. But I don't have any free agent keys. So.
Okay. The New York Jets play the 19th toughest schedule. Last year they were 30th in offense, 30th passing, 12th rushing. Their offense or their defense was 8th in the league last year. So let's jump right into it. Were you surprised that Rex Ryan didn't get fired last year?
I'm real surprised. I've never been a fan of Rex Ryan. He had a couple good years with the Jets, going back-to-back AFC Championship games, but since then he's been 14-18, which is 4 games below 500. And for any coach going through that stretch should be fired. But Rex has told us, he thinks he's a damn good ball coach, and it's been my experience that anybody that has to go out of his way and tell people how good they are really isn't that good. So I think if they don't make playoffs this season, he's either gone or the Jets are just terrible.
Yeah, I think he's definitely gone if they don't make it to the playoffs. He just had a terrible last year, and in that kind of marketplace, you got to perform well because you're under the microscope in New York for sure. Who do you think is ultimately going to get the most snaps at quarterback this year, Mark Sanchez or the rookie Geno Smith?
Well, Mark Sanchez, for some reason, has been Rex Ryan's boy throughout it all. And last year they had Tim Tebow, and he never wanted to experiment with that. Just the arrogance of Rex Ryan. He made the choice to get Mark Sanchez, and so he's going to stick by him, and live by the sword, die by the sword. And lately they've been dying. Geno Smith, coming out of West Virginia, he's an agile quarterback. Mark Sanchez threw 18 picks last year, And Geno Smith threw 21 total in the 4 years he was at West Virginia. So, I mean, Geno's a more accurate quarterback, and it's just going to be interesting to see that if Sanchez slips, if Rex Ryan will actually pull the cord and put Geno Smith in.
Yeah, I think Geno Smith might help him because, when you have a running quarterback, it helps your running game, and it also could help your passing game as well because the defense is always wanting to, not really sure if they're going to run or not. Chris Ivory signed with the Jets. Do you think that's a good sign for the Jets?
I think it's a great signing for Chris Ivory. I mean, he was at the Saints who had, alternating between 4 running backs, and he showed glimpses of being real good at the Saints. He's fast, and he's strong. At the Jets, their offense is pretty terrible, and so is their offensive line. But Sean Green had some success while he was there, and now he's gone. I just think Chris Ivory is a good back, and if he gets enough carries, I think he'll be able to get a 1,000-yard season.
Yep, and one more last point. Do you think the defense will be as good without Darrelle Revis, or do you think it's going to suffer?
I think it is going to suffer a little bit. I mean, Darrelle Revis is the best quarterback in the game, so if you lose the best player in the position, then obviously you're going to be hurting. But they got D. Milner from Alabama in the first round, and D. Milner was a shutdown guy in college, so it's just going to be interesting to see if he can keep up with the strength and speed of the wide receivers in the NFL.
For sure. They'll definitely be an interesting story. They always get talked about in the media just because they are in the New York market. So I'll be watching them definitely. We'll move on to stay tuned, and next we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills. Welcome back. Our last team for the AFC East is the Buffalo Bills. Last year, the Buffalo Bills went 6-10, and they were 2-4 in the division, and they've been pretty bad for a long time. But their key additions for me are Kevin Kolb at quarterback and quarterback E.J. Manuel. Who do you got key additions wise?
Key additions, and I think this guy's going to come out of the gates and be a big contributor. I've got Robert Woods from USC. Stevie Johnson's obviously the top wideout. So when you have a guy who's got top wideout skills coming in as a rookie across from a number 1 wide receiver, he's going to get more single coverage while Stevie gets double coverage. So I look at Robert Woods having a breakout year.
Yeah, for sure. And their strength of schedule this year is 26th in the league. Last year's offense was 19th in the league, 25th passing, 6th rushing. And their defense is 22nd. And so I looked at the depth chart, and Kevin Kolb is going to start quarterback while E.J. Manuel gets ready, I guess. But can Kolb stay healthy is my big question. Do you think he's the starting quarterback all year round, or do you think E.J. Manuel comes in eventually?
Like I said with earlier, I mean, you draft a quarterback number 1. I mean, I feel like he's going to have to start sometime in the season. E.J. Manuel played well at Florida State, led him to BCS games. So I think E.J. Manuel steps up and becomes the starting quarterback sometime, before the halfway point of the season. So, unless Kevin Kolb, if Kevin Kolb goes undefeated and, isn't turning the ball over, then obviously you're going to keep him in. But I think they drafted E.J. for a reason.
Yeah, I'd be pissed if Kevin Kolb performs well at the Buffalo Bills as a Cardinals fan. But that's another topic, I guess. C.J. Spiller last year had 1,244 yards, which is 8th in the league, and 6 touchdowns. And Fred Jackson was also productive last year. Do you think they could be as productive at rushing yards this year?
I think that all depends on the passing game. As you mentioned, they're 25th in the pass and 6th in the rush. If you get a little more yardage towards the passing, then the defense is going to creep back, opening up those holes for the running back. And if you give C.J. Spiller daylight, he's gonna be gone. So it just depends, if E.J. Manuel or Kevin Kolb can spread out the defense, then look out for another big year by C.J. Spiller.
Yep, and the Buffalo Bills hired a new coach, Doug Baroni from Syracuse. Last 3 years, he went 500, and he was 11-17 in the conference. Do you think him coming in will have a positive impact on the Buffalo Bills?
Well, at this point, the Buffalo Bills, anybody that's hired should be a positive improvement. His first big move is hiring defense coordinator Mike Retire from the Jets, and the Jets have always had a strong D, so that's going to be something good for the for the Bills, being able to improve their defense. One thing with the Bills is they had only 6 wins last year, but in those 6 wins they had 14 turnovers, and they compared to 7 turnovers in the 10 losses. So, the Bills' outcome really reflects from the turnovers they get. If they get turnovers, they usually win the game. So hopefully Mike can turn that defense into a turnover machine.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to wrap our talk up today about the AFC East by predicting who we think is going to win. So Ryan, who do you think is going to win the AFC East?
I think for the AFC East, it's pretty obvious. The New England Patriots are above and beyond the best team in this division. You got 2 scrub teams, in the Bills and the Jets, and then the Dolphins who are rebuilding. Plus, when you got Bill Belichick and Tom Brady at the helms, you can't really go wrong with that. So Patriots, clear and cut.
Yeah, I have the Patriots win as well. Even losing those receivers, you're in a really weak division. You added a pretty good receiver in Danny Amendola, and you undefeated last year in the division. So I think the Patriots definitely win this division pretty easily. So that wraps up our talk about the AFC East. Make sure you tune in next time where we talk about the AFC North. Until next time, I'm Matt Popcorn Knife Mahler.
I'm Ryan Showtime Velasquez.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube, and check up on the blog.
Tell your friends about us.